Welcome to another presentation on cross-border value chains. This video covers the natural rubber industry and how collaboration between West Kalimantan and Sarawak could improve efficiency, reduce costs, and strengthen the competitiveness of the two territories in this industry. Rubber was introduced into West Kalimantan in the early 1900s. By 1924, the territory, which was then part of Dutch Borneo, already had as much as 100,000 hectares of land under cultivation. Rubber was also introduced into Sarawak in the early part of the 20th century. But in the early 1970s, production declined as oil palm plantings and pepper cultivation took over. Malaysia, however, is already the world's leading exporter of rubber-based products and has a growing deficit in natural rubber. Development of a cross-border value chain would provide much-needed raw material supplies from West Kalimantan to rubber derivative manufacturers in Sarawak, and would encourage the transfer of technology and capital to West Kalimantan to introduce downstream activities in the province. The value chain begins at the farm level with tree plantings. The latex in the tree is tapped by making incisions in the bark and collecting the fluid in vessels. The slabs arrive from either the plantation owned by the company or from individual smallholding suppliers. The process begins by shredding the rubber prior to its immersion in solvents, because otherwise the material will not easily dissolve. After washing, the shredded rubber is blended and granulated, also called crumbing. The resulting material is flattened into a crepe shape. The wet blankets are then air-dried in large sheds for several days before oven drying at elevated temperatures. The result is a product of consistent quality. The cleaning process continues to remove contamination and prepare the material for the final stage of drying. Testing is carried out for dirt content, ash content, nitrogen content, volatile matter, initial Wallace plasticity value. The crumbed rubber is transported to the compressor, which converts the material into rubber block shapes. Imperfections are removed from the rubber blocks. Blocks are placed inside polyethylene bags, sealed, and those blocks found to have major imperfections are recycled. The blocks are placed in bins and transported to warehousing facilities to await shipment to manufacturers of intermediate and final products such as tires and rubber gloves. Natural rubber products industries comprise a multitude of rubber products such as automobile tires, inflatable wraps, hose and fittings, hygienic and pharmaceutical gloves, and many other products. But the leading rubber-based industry of the world and Sarawak is tires. Natural rubber is a necessary input for the tire industry, and it accounts for 40% of the rubber used in tire manufacturing. At present, Sarawak imports nearly all of its natural rubber from Thailand, while West Kalimantan exports its natural rubber to distant markets. Only 2% of West Kalimantan's exports are currently directed to Sarawak. This trade pattern makes little, if any, economic sense. Our estimates of Sarawak's demand for imports shows that geographic distance and trade costs are critically important in determining the quantity demanded of natural rubber. This will represent a huge savings for rubber products industries in Sarawak. The evidence therefore clearly supports the benefits for both West Kalimantan and Sarawak from the cross-border value chain in the natural rubber and rubber products industries. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to keep up to date with the development of other cross-border value chains. In these videos, we cover not only the development of value chains, but also how to appraise projects, forecast demand with gravity trade models, and use non-monetary criteria that are consistent with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.